disco. It was the soundtrack to an era of pure, unapologetic joy, a four-on-the-floor beat that defined the late 1970s. But behind the infectious grooves and soaring vocals, the lives of many of its biggest stars were far from a non-stop party. The music was happy, but the stories, not so much.
The pop singer Andy Gibb died today. He was the younger brother of the three Gibbs who make up the Bee Gees.
Stick with us as we uncover the tragic tales behind the mirror ball in Disco Legends Who Have Tragically Passed Away. No group defined the disco era more than the Bee Gees. The three Gibb brothers, Barry, Robin, and Maurice, were already pop stars in the 60s, but they completely reinvented themselves in the mid-70s, becoming the undisputed kings of the dance floor. Their soundtrack for Saturday Night Fever is one of the best-selling albums of all time, a cultural touchstone that perfectly captured the zeitgeist. Songs like Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love were inescapable. But the tragedy they sang about in 1979 would eventually hit the family hard. In January 2003, Maurice Gibb, the quiet anchor of the group, collapsed at his Miami home. He suffered a heart attack during an intestinal operation and passed away at just 53 years old. The loss was devastating, but the story wasn't over. 9 years later, in 2012, Maurice's twin brother, Robin Gibb, also succumbed to complications from cancer and intestinal surgery. He was 62. Two of the three voices that created that iconic falsetto harmony were silenced, leaving a massive void in the music world. He had the looks, the voice, and the family name. Andy Gibb, the youngest brother of the Bee Gees, seemed destined for superstardom. At just 19, he exploded onto the scene in 1977 with a string of #1 hits written by his older brother Barry, including I Just Wanna Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing. He was the teen idol of the disco era, a regular on magazine covers and TV screens. But behind the pearly white smile, a storm was brewing. Andy struggled with a debilitating addiction to cocaine, a problem that spiraled out of control, especially after a high-profile breakup with Dallas star Victoria Principal. His unreliability got him fired from a Broadway show and a TV hosting gig. He entered rehab in 1985, and by 1988, he was reportedly clean and planning a comeback, but it was too late. In March 1988, just 5 days after his 30th birthday, Andy checked into a hospital in England complaining of stomach pains. He died shortly after from myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle, likely exacerbated by years of drug abuse. The golden boy of disco was gone, a tragic casualty of fame's darkest side. They didn't call her the Queen of Disco for nothing. Donna Summer was more than just a singer. She was a force of nature. Her 1975 hit, Love to Love You Baby, with its ecstatic moans and hypnotic beat, was a game-changer, pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable on the radio. She followed it up with an incredible run of hits that defined the genre. I Feel Love, Last Dance, Hot Stuff, and Bad Girls. Her powerful voice could handle soaring ballads and funky dance tracks with equal ease. Unlike many of her peers, Summer successfully transitioned out of the disco era, scoring massive hits in the 80s like She Works Hard for the Money. She was a true icon, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. That's why it was such a shock when she passed away in May 2012 at the age of 63. The cause was a rare form of lung cancer, which her family stated was unrelated to smoking. The Queen of Disco, whose music brought so much joy to so many, was taken far too soon. While disco was born in the gay clubs of New York, the mainstream version often scrubbed away its roots. But not Sylvester. Known as the Queen of Disco, Sylvester was an unapologetic, openly gay, gender-fluid performer who brought the fabulousness of the underground to the pop charts. With his soaring falsetto and flamboyant style, he was a true original. His 1978 hit, "You Make Me Feel Mighty Real," is arguably the definitive disco anthem, a pure expression of joy, freedom, and self-acceptance. He was a trailblazer, an icon for the LGBTQ+ community long before it was fashionable. But his life was cut tragically short by the very epidemic that was devastating the community he represented. In 1988, Sylvester passed away from complications of AIDS at the age of 41. He was candid about his diagnosis, using his fame to raise awareness at a time when the disease was still shrouded in fear and ignorance. He wasn't just a disco star, he was a hero. In the summer of 1975, one song taught the world a new dance. The Hustle was an instrumental masterpiece, a flute-driven earworm that shot to #1 and became synonymous with the disco craze. The man behind it was McCoy, a prolific songwriter and producer who had already penned hits for Gladys Knight and the Shirelles. The Hustle was his one and only major hit as a performer, but it was a monster. It was the song that launched 1,000 dance crazes and cemented disco's place in the mainstream. But McCoy's time in the spotlight was tragically brief. Just 4 years after The Hustle topped the charts, in July 1979, McCoy suffered a massive heart attack at his home in New Jersey. He was only 39 years old. The man who wrote the ultimate party starter was gone, a life cut short at the height of the era he helped create. If you've ever danced to La Freak, Good Times, or We Are Family, you've felt the genius of Bernard Edwards. As the bassist and co-founder of Chic, alongside Nile Rodgers, Edwards was one of the architects of the disco sound. His bass lines were the funky melodic foundation upon which some of the era's greatest hits were built. Chic's sound was sophisticated, stylish, and impossibly cool. After Chic's initial run, Edwards became a sought-after producer, working with artists like Rod Stewart and Robert Palmer. In April 1996, a reunited Chic played a series of shows in Tokyo. After one of the gigs, Edwards, who had been feeling unwell, was found dead in his hotel room by Nile Rodgers. The cause was pneumonia. He was just 43 years old. One of the most influential bassists and producers of his generation was gone, leaving behind a legacy of timeless grooves. More. The breathy, seductive vocals and pulsating beat made it an instant disco classic in 1976. The voice belonged to Andrea True, a woman with a past as colorful as the disco era itself. Before she became a one-hit wonder, True was a struggling actress in New York, taking on small parts and, to make ends meet, starring in over 24 adult films. More was her ticket out, a song she co-wrote and recorded while stranded in Jamaica. It became a massive international hit, but the follow-ups never quite matched its success, and by the late 70s, the hits dried up. True's life took another tragic turn when a throat surgery ended her singing career. She worked a series of jobs, from drug counselor to telemarketer, far from the glitter of the disco ball. In 2011, Andrea True died of heart failure at the age of 68, a complex and often misunderstood figure from disco's golden age. Turn the Beat Around is pure, unadulterated disco joy. From its explosive opening to Vicky Sue Robinson's powerhouse vocals, the song is an irresistible call to the dance floor. It was Robinson's one and only top 10 hit, but it was enough to make her a disco icon. The song was everywhere in 1976, earning her a Grammy nomination and a permanent place in the disco pantheon. While she never replicated that mainstream success, she remained a beloved figure in the dance music world for decades, but her life was cut short by cancer. In April 2000, Vicky Sue Robinson passed away at her home in Connecticut. She was only 45 years old. The voice that commanded us to turn the beat around was silenced, but the song, and the joy it brings, lives on. YMCA, Macho Man in the Navy. The songs are legendary, and so are the characters. The Village People were a pop culture phenomenon, a campy, costumed embodiment of masculine archetypes. And the man in the leather, the biker, was Glenn Hughes. With his signature handlebar mustache and tough guy persona, Hughes was an integral part of the group's iconic image. While the Village People's music was often dismissed as novelty, it was also a celebration of gay culture, smuggled into the mainstream at a time when that was a radical act. But by the early 80s, the disco backlash hit hard, and the Village People's fame faded. Hughes left the group in the mid-90s, but the party was truly over in March 2001, when he died of lung cancer at the age of 50. The biker rode off into the sunset, another voice from the disco era silenced too soon. He was the voice behind some of disco's most euphoric anthems. Dan Hartman's Instant Replay and Relight My Fire were dance floor fillers, pure shots of adrenaline that captured the ecstatic energy of the era. But Hartman was more than just a disco singer. He was a talented multi-instrumentalist and producer who had played with the Edgar Winter Group in the early 70s. He wrote and produced for artists like James Brown and Tina Turner. But in the 80s, as disco faded, so did his solo career. He found success writing songs for movies, including the hit I Can Dream About You from Streets of Fire. But like so many artists from that era, his life was tragically cut short by the AIDS epidemic. In March 1994, Dan Hartman died from a brain tumor related to AIDS. He was just 43 years old. The man who urged us to relight the fire was gone, but his music continues to ignite dance floors around the world. They gave us the beat, the rhythm, the escape. Yet for so many of these disco legends, the party ended in tragedy. Their music was a celebration of life, but their stories are a reminder of its fragility. Which of these disco icons do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments. If you believe their music should live forever, hit like, subscribe, and help us keep their stories spinning. More tales from the golden age of music are coming soon. Thank you for watching.